Buddhist science is a study on Buddhism based on facts and science.
The description of nature in terms of process and state. Venerable Rungruan Papartsaro, Dr. Rungruan Lim Chu Patapa. In Buddhism, since everything and every phenomenon are elements and no self in nature, then what happened in the world can be described in terms of process and state by the law of nature called the law of cause and effect, that is, everything is caused by a certain thing in advance, and we can say that they are dependent origination to each other. Similarly, in science the complexity of nature can be described in terms of process and state. In Buddhism the nature can be described in terms of state and process under the law of cause and effect, that is, whatever happened in the world must be caused by something. Putting in a simple word, a process causes a state as an effect, and then the state induces a new process, which consequently causes a new state. Therefore, any state of mind must be caused by a certain cause and resulting in a series of the process of dependent origination, which is considered as one of the most important discoveries of the Buddha on the day of his enlightenment. The cause and effect in nature can be observed as a system of continuation of streaming of process and state in nature, which can be explained as follows. The descriptions of process and state in nature and the law of cause and effect implication. When arising of this, then that arises. When this does not exist, that does not come to be. When the cessations of this, that ceases. In Buddhism, when performing an insight observation on any phenomenon in nature, all the phenomenological events can be observed in terms of a collection of process or state, of which the interaction between them can be described by the law of cause and effect as follows.
The nature is a system of process and state, of which dependent on a process arises with an associated state. Then that state induces an arising of the next process, and the next state, respectively. Then this dependent of cause and effect will arise a series of consecutive processes with associated states, respectively. That is, when this as a process exists, then that as a state comes to be, and then when this as a state exists, then that as a next process is induced to be, and vice versa. With the arising of this, that arises. And in order to cease a process, when this as a state does not exist, then that as a process does not come to be. With the cessation of this, that ceases.
The description of the law of cause and effect in Buddhism is considered as a law of nature in a broader sense, which can be explained in the application that whatever happening in nature must be caused by something directly or indirectly, no matter it is known or not. No one can just create something from nothing. Scientifically speaking, whatever state arising must be caused by a certain process, meanwhile whatever state will induce the rising of a specific process. The continuation of changes in states and processes can be determined and described as the law of cause and effect. The nature is a very complicated system which is caused by the law of cause and effect. The Buddhism had addressed the truths of nature more than 2,600 years ago. When someone does something, it will cause a chain of actions as a ripple effect to other components as a network, so everyone is somehow connected to each other in a certain way. Therefore, we must learn to have a knowledge of what the truths are so that we can develop the life correctly. In nature there is nothing happened by a miracle, but everything must be caused by a certain cause and effect. For examples, rain, cloud, wind, thunder is caused by certain cause and effect. There are no gods of rain, cloud, wind, thunder, etc. Similarly, for any being, which is also a part of nature, then what happened to an individual being must be in accord to a certain cause and effect as well. However, the chain of cause and effect is very complicated and not easily detected by most people, so it may appear to happen without any clue. A pandemic is an infectious disease, but in ancient time people believed that it was a curse of the devil. In observing the truths of mind processing, the Buddhism also found that during insight observations on the mind, there are two phenomenology of mind which can be defined in terms of process of consciousness, and state, mental factor. As a consequence, in Buddhism a mind can be completely described in terms of state and process of mind. This is a great breakthrough discovery of ancient time that later on recently is rediscovered again in the Human Connectome project. That is, there is no self who owns a body, making a feeling, makes a perception, or thinks as mental formations at all, but it is indeed a consciousness that executes and causes all the effects. And the consciousness is also no self, therefore life is no self, but it is a natural process. In Buddhism the law of cause and effect is acting like a law of nature, or a law of science.